When I first started, I was maybe 9. I learned how to sew from my mom, and we would always go thrift shopping. So that was like my inspiration. We would go to, Goodwill or Savers, and I would get a bunch of stuff that I thought was really cool looking. I would get all that stuff, bring it home, and then have her help me alter them and, shorten it, make it a little bit smaller for my frame. And I still do that to this day. The first piece that I'm doing is I have about 15 to 20 pairs of jeans that I'm cutting out and making into these flower patches. It's going to be a skirt and a top, and it's going to be covered in these denim flower patches. All of these jeans have either been donated to me or they've been jeans that I've grown out of and I wanted to get rid of, but I didn't want to give it to like a for-profit thrifting store. So I just decided to use them and turn it into something creative. In this day and age, I think we're a little bit behind on solving this waste crisis that we have. And I try to minimize the waste as much as I can and use whatever is, kind of would otherwise be destined for the trash. I would try to use that and create something else with it. What I want people to feel whenever they see this piece is maybe hope that waste doesn't have to make you feel helpless, but I want people to feel inspired to, maybe they can create something or wear something that has the potential to contribute to taking a step towards solving that problem.
The way I approach fashion, it's more than aesthetics, it's intentionality in what you're trying to communicate to the world. Embracing individuality, it's essentially what I want people to feel, empowered and comfortable in their own skin, because at the end of the day, we are, one-of-a-kind humans. I don't approach this standard way that the industry has teach us to approach it, but I try to, play around and defy that perspective. For example, when I'm sourcing my fabrics, I find them with flaws like stains, humidity, like a little bug marks, and all that for me, they're imperfections, but it's an opportunity to make something interesting. For me, it tells a story, so it kind of like adds substance to what I want to communicate. Well, nature is alive, right? The world is palpitating all the time. Sometimes we just ignore it and we think we are the only alive thing. I don't know if you notice when you're walking by and you see like a bunch of asphalt in the streets, and then you see this tiny patch of like green grass, just like out of the nowhere popping and creating these little flowers. To me, just that's the planet telling us, hey, I'm here, don't forget me. In terms of the concept for my inspiration for this event, it's just a reminder that we cannot just continue taking and taking from the planet. We just need to look back and look at nature and really give it the importance it deserves. I want to spark curiosity. Of course, I want them to be excited, and I want people to think further, to make their own story, inspired by like the work that I'm showing.
Growing up in Hawaii and being around all these different cultures really have influenced the way that I design. It brings in different patterns, textures, and different shapes that I design with, whether it's the oversized square shapes from my Japanese side or the frog knots from my Chinese side. Incorporating that all into one design really shapes how I create a new piece. My design philosophy really focuses around incorporating craft and bringing it to the modern audience or the modern world. I really strive to take hand-sewn things and different textiles and natural textiles and introduce it in a new way or a new silhouette to my audience. The pieces that I'm making are inspiration from quilting. It's pieced together like quilting, but it's a modern take with a more elaborate design. So it's wearable, but at the same time, I want you to feel like you're being enveloped in nature. I really took inspiration from the idea of wearing clothes and how clothes are meant to be worn and what wearing clothes means to anyone or to whoever owns the piece or whatever closet it finds itself in. Fashion and design it's like live art. Every day you're stepping out in something that you wear, something that you choose to wear. That's your first impression on the other person, and that's really what art is. Art is interacting with the world around you. It gives that person an idea of who you are, what you want to represent, and what you want to present to the world, and that really is how art interacts in the same way with the world. For me, it's all about the practice itself, whether it's cutting out certain pieces over and over and over and over again. That's the practice that comes with craft.
From a very young age, I knew that there was something about fashion, clothing in particular, that I was interested in. I had been working in and out of the fashion industry all over California. I was a really good design assistant. I had good technical skills. I was hardworking. And then fast forward years later, I ended up going through a really, really contentious divorce and custody process. Out of that, I think that I was able to develop my own sort of fashion voice because I had survived this totally unrelated thing. And I don't think I would have tried to do my own collection had I not gone through this really hard thing. I think inspiration comes from a variety of places, people, history, art. I'm really excited about this because it's actually turning into like a bit of a collaboration with a couple of artist friends. The more we talked, the more we sort of started getting really excited about the botanical theme and playing around with gardens and gardening. And so I think the collection is going to be a lot of separates and just unexpected ways to wear certain shapes in unexpected colors and fabrics. So I'm hoping that this collection will just be a little bit more of a surprise in its playfulness. Thinking about the concept and the venue and it being at the museum, there's a certain weight that comes with that, and I want to be able to rise to that occasion. And now that I have a couple of collaborators and other artists who are on board with me, I'm much more excited, and it'll be fun to see the whole thing come together.
I grew up on the Big Island, but I always kind of felt like the things I was interested in didn't really click with Hawaii. I moved to New York for a little bit. When I came back here and really started like trying to mesh my aesthetic with Hawaii, it yielded really interesting results, and just that process I think was really inspiring. I really took inspiration from the Ohia Lehua and the mo'olelo behind that. I grew up in Volcano, so I'm like surrounded by ohia trees, and that's actually where the look is being constructed. So I think that was just the jumping off point for these pieces. I want people to not necessarily be shocked and impressed, but I just want just a feeling of joy, I guess. They are going to be very avant-garde, very street, but also very wearable, and I think it's going to be very unexpected. The most exciting thing for me is when I put something on somebody and just how it transforms them, not just, in appearance, but, emotionally, spiritually. I think it like kind of transcends just typical art. When someone puts something on, and it gives them a feeling, I think that's more than just, a piece of physical art. I'm the most happy when I'm creating, and I try not to let stress get to me, because I know a lot of people are not able to do the things that they love. But I'm so thankful for the opportunity. Hawaii itself has just inspired me to create in a way that I never thought I could. I'm just so grateful and thankful, yeah.
For every collection, we try to think of a story to help build off of our collection or a piece. So for these pieces, we came up with this fantasy stories. For this one, we're going with Alice in Wonderland Nutcracker theme. She's going into a garden and she kind of gets entrapped into the garden and she becomes these floral or fauna. When we start a mood board, we have this persona that we build off of, which is this Park Avenue princess. And we relay it back to if it fits within this Park Avenue princess persona. And we build a story around her. We build a collection around her and see how she fits within our design aesthetic. That's how we kind of start off every single collection or every design that we build. The emotion that I want people to take away in anything that I create is always a question: what was the mindset? And it creates more conversations with each other of how they would create something and build off of what I'm creating too. I think this is a great opportunity for creatives, designers to really show what they can do. It gives us this opportunity to be free and create just whatever we want, and really pushes that boundary as well too, as how far we can go, whether it be our sewing skills, our creativity. I think this is a great opportunity for us to work on that.
Fashion has always been something that I've always been passionate about. It's always been an extension of my personality. Back in Fiji, in high school, they didn't offer a lot, your curriculum with arts or fashion. I lost my sister to cancer 10 years ago. And at that point, I think it was a breaking point for me where I realized that life was too short and I should really pursue my dreams. I went and created 10 to 15 pieces. I launched it on Facebook and it kind of took off on its own. And that's how Samson Lee Fiji was born. This is my 10th year in design and fashion, and my clothes, I like to celebrate it through the prints, through the color. I am a Fijian designer, and all the stuff that I make here is 100% made in Fiji. I source here fabric, I print, we sew everything locally. For me, when I create designs, it reflects home, and most of my clients overseas, it kind of reminds them of home. So the prints, the color. My pieces at the Mod Gala are deeply inspired by the legend of the Tangimudia flower. The Tangimudia flower is a rare flower that can only be found here in the Fiji Islands. This flower basically symbolizes beauty, resilience, and transformation. I'm super excited to showcase something of like a flower from Fiji and incorporate that into my design. This has been such a rewarding experience for me. I don't normally do wearable art, so it's been quite a challenge as well. I'm also working with a lot of local artisans to just bring this to life. So super excited, and yeah, it's just been a really rewarding experience. I think fashion is art. Art is fashion, definitely. I can just see something and just really get inspired. I love what I do, and even though it has its ups and downs, I'm still so passionate about it.
Fashion to me is about belonging. Sometimes what you look like can make you feel like a part of the whole. And that's always been part of how I design. I can't imagine my world without art. I think we're all artists in our own way, but I've been very lucky to live a life as an artist by choice. It's not a want, it's a need to do something. And people don't understand that it takes time, it takes dedication. Art is definitely part of everything around us. Fashion just happens to be one facet of what I exist on. I think we all have our story, we all have a message. I'm working on a piece that's called Ching, Paradise. And what I'm asking people to look at this piece, to really stop and look at it and ask themselves, what have we done to sell paradise? And what are we doing to really maintain our own integrity of where we come from and who we are? Pushing the boundary of fashion is really about pushing how you see yourself, how you feel you are best. Wear your favorite color. Wear texture to irritate yourself sometimes, just because you need to change. Make change as easy as changing a shirt. I think the next decade of fashion is really about being yourself, being brave enough to just simply Wear the same thing so that people see who you are. Make life simple. Fashion is about making life simple.